Tonight, you might step outside. Perhaps it is just to throw some trash in the backyard, or to grab something from the car, or maybe to walk down a quiet path where the streetlights end and the woods begin. To you, this is nothing, just an ordinary step, a familiar rustle, a regular human taking a stroll in the world. But in a dark corner near that very path, another creature might have its eyes locked onto you before you ever catch sight of it. A deer stops chewing, a fox freezes instantly beneath the branches, a raccoon jerks its head up from the grass, and somewhere hidden completely out of sight, a mountain lion, upon hearing a single spoken human word, drops its freshly caught meal and flees in terror. You didn't chase it, you weren't carrying a weapon, and you didn't even know it was there. Yet, the moment your breath entered that patch of air, the rules of the wilderness were completely rewritten. The animal's body doesn't wait for proof, its muscles tense first, its breathing shifts. Its brain is running the oldest, most primal calculation in nature: danger is here. This isn't because of anything you were doing at that exact moment. It is because of what humanity, as a species, has come to mean to the natural world over the course of millennia. For hundreds of thousands of years, survival in the wild depended on reading the patterns. Every living creature had to know exactly what danger looked like. Lions have their hunting rhythms, crocodiles have their ambush territories, wolves have their howls, and leopards have their style of sudden assault. Predators are terrifying, but they are predictable. They rest when their bellies are full, they are bound by the physical limits of their bodies, requiring distance, cover, and the element of surprise. Therefore, prey animals evolved around these rules. Zebras learned to sense when the grass fell deathly quiet, deer learned to read the wind, and monkeys learned to distinguish which kind of silence meant a big cat was nearby. Then, an unprecedented new animal took the stage. It wasn't the strongest, nor was it the fastest. It possessed no venom, no lethal claws, and no bone-crushing bite. At first glance, it looked like a half-baked creation that nature could easily devour. Yet, this seemingly fragile creature managed to do what no top predator had ever done before: it broke all the rules. It hunted in the blistering heat of midday when other animals were most exhausted, it surrounded its prey in coordinated packs, it used fire to hollow out forests, it used tools to extend its physical reach, it could even strike with lethal precision from hundreds of meters away. Worse still, it would return tomorrow, remembering yesterday's successful strategy and passing that knowledge seamlessly to its peers. Animals spent millions of years figuring out the rules of the lion. But humans kept changing the game. The simplest explanation is that animals fear humans because humans hunt them. But that answer underestimates the sheer scale of the terror we represent. Many wild animals do not just react to hunters, they experience profound stress from ordinary hikers, conversational chatter, a road, or a campsite. They even display long-lasting dread toward the lingering scent of a human who has already departed. In some regions, animals have completely altered where they forage, in others, they have shifted the times they are active. Some have begun avoiding daylight entirely, becoming strictly nocturnal, others abandon fresh kills, some have even surrendered fertile territories inhabited by their ancestors for thousands of years. Most incredibly, they will flee even when there is not a single soul in sight. A voice is enough. A scent is enough. A footprint is more than enough. So, the real question is not just why animals flee when they see us. The real question is, what kind of monsters have we humans become that every other living creature on Earth has begun to restructure its entire survival strategy around us? The answer is about more than just fear, it is about stress, memory, and the exact moment a seemingly fragile ape became a terrifying force that every wild animal's nervous system must constantly brace against. Scientists have a strictly technical, hardcore term for the role humans play in nature. We are not just predators, nor are we merely apex predators at the top of the food chain. We are super predators. In 2015, a comprehensive study analyzing over 300 hunting data sets worldwide revealed a shocking reality: humans kill large carnivores like lions, leopards, bears, and wolves at a rate roughly 9 times higher than these wild predators kill each other. In the oceans, humans harvest adult fish at rates 14 times higher than natural marine predators. There is a crucial distinction here. Natural predators rarely target the strongest adults of a population, they tend to cull the young, the injured, the slow, or the isolated. Humans completely upended this. We systematically target the adults, the strongest individuals with the finest genetics, and we actively hunt the fierce predators that other animals steer clear of. We eradicate our competitors for food, to protect property, for the fur trade, or simply for entertainment and sport. A wolf kills because it is hungry and must eat, but the industrial systems built by humans can effortlessly wipe out entire animal populations. This is not normal predation, this is a dimension-shattering pressure of survival. Before the massive rise of humanity, ecosystems possessed a stable structure of fear. Deer feared wolves, wolves avoided bears, and lions kept an eye on elephants. Every animal had its immutable place in the food chain. Then humans stepped into this long chain and refused to stay in any fixed position. One moment we were prey being chased, and the next, we were hunters operating with what seemed like cheat codes. Vulnerable alone, we became overwhelmingly lethal together. We could show up at noon when other hunters were collapsed in the heat, we could track a trail of footprints for days on end, we could hurl weapons from well outside the danger zone. This is what makes us unique. A cheater has speed, but exhaustion quickly follows. A lion has power, but it requires long hours of sleep. A crocodile has patience, but it is useless once it leaves the water. Humans, however, possess a much stranger ability. We can fail, analyze our mistakes, and return with a better plan. Most predators are merely flesh and blood. Humans are flesh and blood carrying the memory of civilization. At this point in the story, the theory stops being cold and academic. In 2017, researchers at the University of California conducted a famous experiment on mountain lions in the wild. Mountain lions are no gentle felines, they are natural-born killers capable of dragging prey heavier than themselves. If any animal should feel confident in the wilderness, it is the mountain lion. The researchers secretly placed speakers near the spots where mountain lions ate their kills. In some locations, they played natural frog calls, in others, they played recordings of regular human conversation. There was no shouting, no gunshots, no roaring engines, and no barking hounds, just two people chatting calmly and amiably. The results were instantaneous. When the mountain lions heard human voices, their likelihood of fleeing skyrocketed, the time they waited before creeping back grew immensely, and their feeding time was cut down by more than half. A top predator undergoes the immense hazard of a hunt, secures a meal, and sits down to enjoy it, only to be driven away in terror by a casual human sentence filtering through a speaker. To this planet, the sound of a human voice is synonymous with extreme danger. But a terrified mountain lion is just the beginning. In 2019, another research team scaled this experiment up to an entire ecosystem. They broadcasted recordings of human speech across large swathes of the wilderness to see how the broader wildlife community would respond. The result was a cascading domino effect across nature. Large carnivores altered their routes to bypass the area entirely. Medium-sized carnivores, like foxes and raccoons, were scared into hiding, drastically reducing their foraging activity. Then, at the very bottom of the food chain, something astonishing happened. Mice and other small rodents experienced a massive surge in activity and feeding. Why? Because the foxes and mountain lions that usually kept them in check were too terrified of the human voices to hunt. As you can see, the human voice doesn't just frighten a single species, it acts like an invisible, godlike hand reshaping the food chain itself. No one was wielding a spear, no one fired a gun, and not a single human shadow even appeared. The mere notion that a human might be present was enough to dictate who hid, who ate, and who waited. Ecologists refer to this phenomenon as the landscape of fear. This means fear is no longer just an internal emotion felt by an individual animal, fear has become a physical attribute of the environment. A hiking trail becomes an area systematically avoided, a watering hole turns into a high-stakes gamble accessible only in the dead of night, a meadow loses its value simply because it carries a human scent. We manufacture these vast landscapes of fear, even when we have no intention of doing so. We like to think of ourselves as mere visitors to nature, hiking through the woods with headphones on, stopping to snap a photo of a deer. We view ourselves as fundamentally benign. But wild animals do not read our self-narratives of kindness, they only read the objective record we leave behind. We leave footprints, odors, voices, highways, domesticated dogs, plastic, and artificial nightlight. The deer doesn't know you are just there for a walk, the fox doesn't know you are an animal-loving environmentalist, the mountain lion doesn't know you are currently unarmed. It only knows that human presence correlates with a staggeringly high probability of death, high enough to warrant triggering every panic response in its body. We believe we have removed ourselves from the wild, but the wilderness responds to us as though we never left. This is where the story becomes uncomfortable, yet undeniably awe-inspiring. Because humans understand fear, too. When darkness falls and you find yourself walking alone through a deep, unlit wilderness, something ancient awakens inside you. The shadows of the trees seem to shift, and the faintest rustle of leaves sounds incredibly sharp. Before your rational mind can formulate an explanation, your skin crawls and your hairs stand on end. That feeling isn't cowardice, it is an ancestral inheritance that kept your forebears alive. For the vast majority of human history, being isolated from the tribe in the dark was fatal. A strange sound behind you could be the thin line between life and death. Yet, when an animal detects us, it experiences a perfectly mirrored dread. Your fear says, something out there in the dark might be watching me. Their fear says, the monster that can change everything, that can destroy everything, has arrived. What is it about us that commands such a terrifying presence? It is not any single invention, but rather the flawless optimization of our anatomy and intellect. Endurance gives us range. While naturally fast animals inevitably collapse from exhaustion, humans can rely on sweating to keep walking for miles, literally running their prey to death. Cooperation gives us scale. A lone human is vulnerable, but a synchronized group can orchestrate a massive ambush, allowing collective intelligence to iterate. Tools give us distance: spears, bows, rifles. Every tool pushes our physical bodies further out of harm's way. Language gives us memory. Wisdom does not perish with the death of an individual. Yesterday's harsh lessons are integrated into tomorrow's hunt. Culture gives us speed. While other species must wait millions of years for genetic adaptations, humans can completely overhaul their survival tactics within a single generation. This terrifying convergence of traits has forced the entirety of nature to adapt to us. We prefer to define ourselves by the civilizations we construct: our cities, art, medicine, poetry, and science. These things are indeed magnificent. But to much of the wild world, the primary fact of our existence is far simpler and more brutal. When humans arrive, danger escalates. A spoken phrase in the woods, a trace of scent on a trail, a beam of a flashlight cutting through the dark, these cues are enough to alter the fates of animals that have never seen a city and never looked at a screen. This is the part we so often forget. Civilization is the story we tell ourselves, fear is the story other species have been forced to learn about us. Both are entirely true at the same time. Whenever a wild animal freezes in your presence before you even realize it's there, you are touching a much older world, a world in which humans are never just background noise. Humanity is the alarm itself. We comfort ourselves with the thought that we have left nature far behind, but the wilderness can still hear our footsteps approaching loud and clear.